All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing our final reviews for the volumes of the Walking Dead comic book series, because this one is for the last volume in the Walking Dead. This is for volume 32. It is Rest in Peace. Alright, man, so major spoiler warning. I just got this copy, just released here in Canada and shipped to me. I was really highly anticipating getting this one, even though I have the final issue, which is right here in its first printing form, and I have issue 190, the last couple of issues there, like the Carl one here is shown on the back with Carl kind of standing there. You know, and just all the craziness happening. If you guys missed it yesterday, we did a review for volume 31, The Rotten Core, and as I said in that, there was pretty much nothing in this volume that would lead you to believe that we were seeing the end of The Walking Dead, even though, spoiler warning, Dwight was killed off in kind of shocking fashion. There was nothing that made me think from that the Commonwealth storyline was going to the end of The Walking Dead. And in this one, we get to see it in what is a very large, it's a larger than normal volume. It's heavier than normal. It's got more to it than normal. It's thicker. Might not be able to see it too well there, but you can see that this one is maybe twice the size or something as the normal volumes are. And I mean, even the cover, Rest in Peace. You know, you got the green and stuff. I think you'd think it might be red or something, like a dark, deep red or black or something, but Rest in Peace, man. It's really crazy. You have Rick standing here as, you know, the whole place is just smoking and fire and everything. And man, this one's crazy. And then the same right up on the back, but then Carl back there. And man, this is it, right? So this is. So I should say, on one hand, I'm very happy to have been able to complete these with you guys. We now have reviews for every single volume the Walking Dead comic book series ever had in the channel. You can watch all 32 reviews for every single volume, every single story arc in The Walking Dead from issue 1 all the way to the end with 193. And man, it was quite a ride with you guys, so I'm really happy to be able to finish this with you guys. I do like to, you know, when you start something, you know, in life, you know, it's cool to be able to actually finish it. And in this one, you know, I'm happy to be able to review this with you guys and finish the reviews for the very final volume. And I'm happy for Robert Kirkman that he got to finish his epic, The Walking Dead, in such fashion the way he wanted it to, and that it wasn't spoiled, and that nobody leaked it, and that it didn't get out until like the day before, when people started receiving their shipments for this, and people found out, hey, The Walking Dead's over. Psst, The Walking Dead's over. What? like what? Like, again, in this one, we were thinking 5 to 10 years and a big build-up for the Commonwealth and some big 100-issue storyline coming from the Commonwealth. And then this one, nope, that's not it. It's actually over. So, in very unexpected fashion, the green cover, we have things continuing on at the Commonwealth, and we've got Pamela giving a speech. We get some back and forth leading up to these kind of final moments here. We have a possible love interest for Sophia with Carl and this kind of stuff that doesn't really, again, you know, some of it, like when I look back at some of these events, in hindsight, some of it feels like it matters. And then some of it just, it's like, why would I even bother reading this again? Like the stuff with the princess and stuff, it's like, what's the point, you know, because it didn't really go anywhere. It just finished, right? So you have stuff with Mercer in jail and stuff like this. It's like, dude, considering where things ended off, it just didn't matter at all. Stephanie and Eugene getting stuck with the trains with a whole bunch of walkers coming. It's like, okay, I guess so, but you know, again, in the long run, it just didn't matter. We have Mercer getting busted out. We have Sebastian being a little prick with Rick as he's trying to actually help them, as people were kind of coming after them and everything, getting them to Greenville and all that. It's unbelievable to think that he would actually go so, you know, far as to be so stupid. I would never, if you would have told me ahead of time that, spoilers, this is how the great Rick Grimes dies, Sebastian's going to go into his room at night and shoot him, like, aimlessly for almost no reason just because he's a moron, I just would never, I would never have thought that could be true. So pretty much we have Rick and the others cleaning house at the Commonwealth, clearing things out. Pamela comes back and she's so stupid that she thinks that Rick was actually trying to take over, and she commands everybody from Greenville to attack, and Rick says, no, stop. And actually they don't listen to her, and they actually don't attack. And then you have Rick who gives the speech with the hand up and everything like that, with kind of the no hand, and the infamous, this is great to read, we are not the Walking Dead. And it's sort of like, in the end, ominously, it's kind of like, oh yes, you are. as we see Rick be killed off kind of right afterwards. So Sebastian is upset because, let's see, she's getting kind of arrested and taken off, and then Sebastian, of course, in retribution, goes after Rick and kills him. Which I guess, I guess it's natural enough. Like, he goes in his room here and says, "Don't make an effing movie." He's a spoiled brat kid. Everything led up to this. We saw him being a moron, and here's Rick sleeping in bed, and he gets shot just like that. And it's just, and then he's like, Sebastian's nervous. He doesn't know what he's doing, but he does it anyway. And Rick's like, "What did you do?" And then he finishes the job, and he just fires off the whole bunch. So it's about, and here's Rick in his bed, at the end, dead pretty much, and then the sunrise and everything, and he's a walker, and Carl finds him, puts him down. So here's Walker Rick right here, which is hard for me to look at, man, and Carl sees him and everything. So it's about the most lackluster ending you could even almost think of for Rick and how great Rick is. It's just this punk kid. His mom's being a moron. She gets arrested. Rick wins the people over with a great speech. He had to kill Dwight just previously in order to try to prevent everything from breaking down and trying to keep the peace. It still didn't work anyway. He was able to take Pamela out of leadership there and I guess sort of get it for himself. Not that he really wanted to, but just because that made sense, and arrest Pamela. And then Sebastian is the one that goes after him and just kills him just like that. And man, here's everybody kind of mourning. You have Carl and the others just kind of walking out and everything, and it's just it. Yeah, have all the faces. This is great right here. I like this. Everybody's sad, because you see all the different lives that Rick had touched, and everybody just very, very sad that this happened. I'm kind of walking back and everything, and Carl falling out, saying he doesn't know if he can do this, right? Not anymore, and he's crying, and then that's it for the end of that issue. Now, here's where things just go into just unbelievable territory. Okay, so Rick is killed off in what somewhat is a lackluster type of fashion. Somewhat. Yeah, it is very lackluster fashion. It's not like he's at battle with some great general or something, like Mercer, let's say, let's say Mercer becomes a villain or something and kills Pamela, and then Rick and him kind of go at it, and there's a bunch of battles and a few volumes, and eventually it comes down to Rick versus Mercer, and somehow Mercer beats him, let's say, and kills him, and then Carl kills Mercer, something like that. That would be kind of more sort of expected, I think, for what you might kind of see. Him being sort of assassinated in bed through VI gunshots from this punk kid that nobody likes is just it's really crazy, man, to think about that. It's shocking and everything. It's unexpected. It's just it's unfortunate to see it end like this, and it's unfortunate to see it go from how kind of a fever pitch this was at right here, and kind of how exciting the political drama was of it, to the assassination and everything, to being in this one, and just so soon afterwards being like, okay, I can't do this anymore. So Rick is killed off. So I'm cool with everything up until here. It's not the best death you can imagine for Rick. You could probably think of way better ways that the great Rick can go down. At least he got a good speech, and he got to say, "We're not the Walking Dead," and then sort of sadistically, Kirkman, the god of the Walking Dead, speaks and says, "Oh yes, you are," and shows that they are. And then Carl kind of has a breakdown and everything. Everybody else does too, and they go back. And then we get the big time skip. So the very next issue, when we expected to see some stuff for Carl and some really good stuff because he just lost Rick and everybody else too, it skips right to adult Carl with 193, killing the Walker with the sword and everything like this. The swordsman strike, so these fake covers and stuff like this. And I've reviewed 193 many times now, at least a couple times when I got the issue myself, and Carl being grown up and kind of the future of The Walking Dead, and then kind of the incident that happens with Herschel, who's now, a grown-up spoiled kid who's got the traveling Walking Dead circus, and then, Carl putting them down, getting in trouble, getting pardoned by Michonne. We get to see how everybody's doing, and then you get a really touching ending in the end with Carl reading the story of Rick and that kind of thing to his daughter. There's the big statue of Rick with the hand up and everything like that. And it's a fitting ending for the last issue in the way things kind of go down. It leaves you with a happy ending. Read it again, Daddy, at the last part. And then here's the winner right here, I think, as you see Carl smiling, and you have Andrea, Sophia's daughter, named after Andrea, in a rocking chair reading, and then that's the end of The Walking Dead. And then he goes into kind of the write-up of the letter hack. So this is the end of The Walking Dead. That's it. It's over. We're done. So, and then he goes through and he kind of explains the ending, which is probably about as good to have the explanation letter as anything else. But I have to say, so 193 by itself as an ending issue, a triple issue, I think, is like perfect, right? It's like awesome ending for Carl. He gets the daughter, he's happy, everything like that's a happy ending. It's not a terrible ending for The Walking Dead, in that way, like some series would do where they just kill off everybody or something. No, it's happy, he's reading it to his daughter and everything like this. And it's great because it's in the future and we get to see that they kind of beat the dead and they kind of win. And that ultimately they sort of are the Walking Dead, but the zombies are not the Walking Dead and they kind of defeat the Walking Dead. And they aren't they sort of are the Walking Dead, even though Rick says they're not, but then they are because then they're killed. And, you can kind of look at these ways if you want to and kind of think about these kind of the meaning and the words and everything like that. So, all right. So when I read the volume through as a whole, it impacts me differently than when I read the individual issues. 193 is like a 10 out of 10 issue. 192 and 191 are like so shocking. It's like, oh my God, what is happening? But it's not until you look through the volumes, I think, or a compendium, for example, that it feels so strange to read these through. This one is so disjointed with this time skip. And with, Rick just died, right? Rick just dies. It's the weirdest time ever to skip everything else and then go right to the ending. But I guess even in the TV series, for example, in season 9, and some of the stuff that happened, they have Rick leave and then they skip right to 6 years later. And then you see Daryl and you see everybody else. And it kind of skips all the sad stuff and it skips them to have to do the sad stuff to go into the future further ahead. We also don't get to see Carl and Sophia get together because at the beginning of this volume, Carl is with Lydia, and we get the impression they have a very serious relationship, and Lydia's kind of crazy, but Carl is too, and so, it works together for both of them. Ultimately, Carl doesn't marry Lydia, he ends up marrying Sophia. I guess Lydia would be the example of kind of the crazy girl that maybe he dates, but not marriage material, and then Sophia actually is, so he marries Sophia, and then they have Andrea together, this whole thing. So, it's just a very, this volume is so unexpected. It's so crazy to me. I have to think, and they've said many times that this was planned out way ahead, and this was always the ending, and all this kind of stuff. And maybe 193 was always the ending. Maybe 193 was always the point where they said, this is how I want it to end. I want it to end in the future with Carl ending up with Sophia, with them having a daughter, with Herschel being kind of a brat, and Maggie being president, and Michonne being like a chief judge or like a high ruling judge of some kind instead of just a lawyer, like working her way up over the years because that's what Michonne does because she's super badass and everything, and sort of a happy ending for everybody. So I'm glad he went with a happy ending, and that for me is like a 10. But to see it through, to see the disjointedness between the ending of Rick, kind of this stuff happening here with Carl and Carl being sad and everything, and then just, hey, it's over. By the way, P.S., it's over. Rick's dead, so I'm just going to end the series now. It's like there's so much stuff that must have happened in the meantime between when Rick died and what happened with Carl and the end. I can't help but think, man, like there could have been at least a few more issues in there. At least a few more, where at least you maybe went through some time with Sophia and Lydia and you did something with that, so you kind of showed us, there's just so much, it feels like there's so much missing when you read the volume versus when you read the issues, and each month you're getting released, you don't see that kind of, that flow together. When you get this or the compendium, you're seeing that flow. You're seeing the flow of, okay, this, everything is good, and you get the sense it's going to last a long time. To this, it's like, oh my God, Rick is dead. I can't believe this. Carl's upset. Well, you would imagine so. What's going to happen now? Is Carl going to leave the series now to, well, he is going to leave the series, but just for one issue because it's going to be a triple issue and it's over. We're done. So, oh man. So it's kind of like he trolled us a little bit in this one. So it is an epic, man. The Walking Dead is for, in my opinion, as a fan of zombie apocalypse series since I was a kid, and I first saw Night of the Living Dead, The Walking Dead is the best zombie story ever created, in my opinion. For me, it's my favorite comic book series ever done. It's the best run, I think, of any comic book series ever. I really hope that we see some kind of Walking Dead in the future. I hope this is not it for The Walking Dead forever, but I do have some ideas for some videos. We can discuss that in a Q&A video itself, whether or not we'll ever see another Walking Dead again, because it kind of feels like you got this license out there, it's there, but we'll go into it more in another video. It's just that it's so great, right? At the same time, that it's so sad that it ended so abruptly and so suddenly, that Rick's life ended at the hands of this spoiled brat Sebastian, and that we had to go right from there to the end of the series, and that we didn't get to see another couple volumes, 5 or 6 volumes, or maybe more, 10 volumes or whatever, of Carl's journey after that. I imagine things could not have been just like, I guess Rick's death, causes peace. Like, he's a martyr, but he causes peace as a martyr, and nobody wants to fight anymore, and everybody wants it to be over, and everyone gets together and sings Kumbaya, and that's kind of the whole deal, that in Rick's death, that everything came together as peaceful, and it ended. But it just would have made for a smoother transition if there was some more issues in the middle there that kind of showed it. But you know what? Whatever. They did 193, issues of the comics. That's more than anybody could ask for. Over 15 years of comic releases consistently. That's incredible. Most comics, they're lucky to get, a few volumes run from a particular writer or a particular artist, and then they switch. Like all the Marvel DC stuff switches very frequently. There's very few times you'll have one artist on one comic for, 10 years or 15 years. Almost never happens. One, or maybe never, I don't know, I haven't looked, or one writer on one comic character for 10 or 15 years is very, very rare. That kind of stuff would happen. So I guess more than anything, I do love the volume. Like I said, the ending for Carl is perfect. I just kind of wish, I guess, if anything else, I'm just disappointed that I wish we didn't get more. So it's very difficult for me to score this because I didn't want to see the end right now. That's the thing. Like, I did not want to see this be the end of The Walking Dead. I wanted to see more, and I guess he's done his job if we're sitting here saying, like, we're upset because we wanted more, right? So he did his job. We're angry that we didn't get more, and we kind of thought we were going to get more, maybe a Carl-led series or something like that, or something else with Carl. So, who knows in the future, maybe he will do something else with the Walking Dead license. It's a fitting end for Rick. It's a great end to the story. It's just that, I would have wished we could have gotten a little bit more, and I would have wished that maybe Rick's death would have been a little bit more kind of epic. But I guess ultimately it's about Rick, and it's not about the villain. It's not about Sebastian. It's about Rick Grimes. It's about his story and Carl in the end. So, for a score for the final issue for an ending, I mean, as a whole, I can't give it like a 10 like I did for 193. 193 I think is a 10 by itself, but because the transition was so blocky and just so cut off and then goes right to the final, like, oh, hey, it's over. If it was a smoother transition, we might have been able to tell, and maybe that's not what he wanted. So I guess I'll give it, a 9 out of 10. It's still Walking Dead, and like I said, the only thing I'm upset about is that we didn't get to see more of it, and that we kind of had the impression that the Commonwealth was going to be a longer storyline, that maybe we would get some time with a Carl-led Walking Dead or Negan-led Walking Dead or something like this, and it just never happened. Sort of like what we are getting with the TV series, in that Rick is gone, but it's continuing. The comics, not the case. Once Rick was gone, it was gone. One more issue later, and after Rick's last issue, the very next issue was the final issue of The Walking Dead. So that's it for all the volume reviews. Next video I think we'll do for comics is we're going to take a look. I'm going to show the complete Walking Dead collection, which is, we'll just take a quick look. We'll stack them up, see how many 32 stacks wide of all the comics. The complete Walking Dead collection. We'll take a look through together, all 32 volume covers, and just kind of, just have a look, hang out, and look at the completed Walking Dead collection. Thanks for all your support over the years, guys. I hope you've liked these. These were one of the first things I started on my channel. I started reviewing the Walking Dead comics before the TV series started. And that was, over pretty much a decade ago now. So thank you guys for all your support over the years. I hope you liked it. And thanks for sticking with me if you're watching this now to the very end of The Walking Dead. So that's it. It's in the bag. It's wrapped up. It's finished. And let's hope in the future we get a Walking Dead 2 or something else. He does something else with it, because the only thing I'm disappointed about is that we didn't get more. That's it for this video, guys. If you liked it, please thumb it up below. You can share, you can favorite, and subscribe to the bottom left if you're new. That's it for this one. See you guys again soon for another video. It's Trev saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.